Good evening, Sin Evangelist here. Tonight we're going to talk about Fritz Lang's Fury, a film that is very relevant to today. This is a film that probably wouldn't be able to be made today, not because of the money, but because of the politics. It's about injustice and racism and bigotry. And Fritz Lang's first American film after leaving Nazi Germany, where he was facing just that very thing. And the force and intensity of this script is driving and really hits home, hits the target, hits you right in the heart. And Fritz Lang is brilliant. This a master at reaching out of the screen and into your chest and grabbing your heart and holding it. Just with the visuals and the rhythm and pace of his filmmaking. Because he is, after all, a German expressionist filmmaker. And he brought all that beautiful artistic integrity to Hollywood and made some incredible films. And Lang's visual integrity is so precise. It's as precise as Hitchcock or Ozu. And, of course, it's coming from a different POV, but it's showing you the same simple, pure composition and rhythm that you need to have a story enter your brain and your soul and have it live. And that's what a filmmaker does. That's what Fellini does, Ozu does, Kurosawa does. They all are, and Bergman, they're all able to just come into you and get in there behind your eyes. And his visual integrity also included his attention to detail and adding little things, whether that will draw your attention for a second, almost subliminally, but they make the poetry happen. They make the picture complete. They make you feel the emotion. And just the way he uses the rain machine in the studio soundstage makes it look both theatrical and operatic at the same time. And the poetry and the way it's lit makes it look like a descending veil of tears. You know what I mean? He just is a poet. He's a visual poet, and as other filmmakers are, but Fritz Lang really does it in this film. And in concert with the close-ups that he does on the faces, especially when Spencer Tracy comes back and he shows his brother he's alive and he survived the fire, and it's the only time I can remember, well, especially in this film, that the actor looks directly into the camera and delivers his speech about revenge. And he looks right at into the audience and says it. And with every other scene, and pretty much in any movie, except there are exceptions, no one looks at the camera. That's the thing. So when it's used like that by Fritz Lang or somebody else, some other brilliant master filmmaker, it really works. And some of his methods of carrying the story along visually with things like train scenes, the wonderful, powerful emotion that's elicited when a giant train engine comes pulling into view, like it did when the Lumieres first did it to the people sitting in 1896 in Paris when they thought a train was going to run over them. But, I mean, it does seem to hark back to that tradition, but it's continued. Hitchcock uses it. You can find beautiful train scenes in a lot of really good films. But this one, Fritz Lang uses the locomotive to really locomote and move this film along. A word about the performances in this film. Spencer Tracy is probably one of the best American actors that we've ever had. I am at the risk of people saying, "What?" But he is. And he has just proved it over and over again. I mean, I'm talking about Oscars or anything like that. His ability to hit the mark. When a director wants something from him, he gives it. He gives everything, and you believe him. You believe every move he makes. You believe every eye movement, every gesture. And the same is true of Sylvia Sidney. The camera loves her. Her face fits in the camera lens so perfectly, and her eyes are so hypnotic and mesmerizing, hypnotic saucers that they pin you to your seat. Her brilliance penetrates you. And you're completely caught in the story. You have no way out of it with those two in the driver's seat. The character actors they choose to play the supporting parts in this film are very important, like Walter Brennan and Bruce Cabot and Edward Ellis, who to me looks like D.W. Griffith, and he's just the Hollywood prototype of the authoritarian, the guy who wants to do the right thing. And Bruce Cabot is kind of a jerk. And he's kind of a jerk in King Kong, too, you know. But he leads the lynch mob, and the other members of the lynch mob are just so perfect that they're like an old maid's deck of blue-collar Joe America, rural, simple people who just don't want to pay taxes and hate strangers and foreigners. And this film is also points out the role that the media plays and that gossip plays at the beginning of the big lie, or the fake news as it's called now. Starts with the not knowing what's really happening. Then somebody has to make it up, and they make it up and make it up, the game of telephone, until there's a lynch mob. And that's what happens in this film, and it's just a film about something that's happening right now. And I think everybody should see this film. Even though we've told you what's going to happen, you need to see it for yourself, because it's a testament to a time that in America and in the world that we're cruising back into. This film is in my top 10 films of all time because of its commitment to truth and justice of all things. It was made by Fritz Lang like when he just escaped Hitler, where no truth and no justice existed. And he came to the United States and saw that the same things were happening here. Lynch mobs. The statistics are in this film. He gives you the statistics of how many lynchings there are. They don't tell you what color the people were that were lynched. 98% of them, I'm telling you, were black. But the movie had to be made. Hollywood wouldn't let them make the movie about black people, just like it wouldn't let them make a movie today about immigrants. It's the same. It never changes. And it just needs to come back, return to the circle, and people have to realize that, like we were saying earlier, we were watching Kenneth Anger's Scorpio Rising, and he was using swastikas. And we realized swastikas aren't funny anymore. and they really aren't. And this film really points it out, because these people are acting like Nazis. And these words that Spencer Tracy speaks when he finally gives himself up, just before the 22 people are about to be hung, he comes in and says this: when I was being lynched, and I looked at these people and saw that they were killing an innocent man, he said, something was destroyed in me. And you know what that thing was? A belief in justice and an idea that men were civilized, and a feeling of pride that this is a country that is different from all the rest. And that brought tears to my eyes. It just did. It brought tears to my eyes when I watched it. Fritz Lang has the ability to reach into your chest and grab your heart and move you. He knows how to move you in a movie. And he's just brilliant. He's a master. He's a German expressionist. He's a master of chiaroscuro. Every shadow is exactly in the right position to give you the exact emotion that he wants to evoke in you at that moment. He's just brilliant. He can operate you from the projection booth.